Namaskaram. My name is Vivekananda. Literally, it means wisdom and happiness. I believe in living a simple life. I believe in thinking differently. I am proud to share my belief with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. Through this YouTube channel, I aim to bring time tested wisdom and happiness together into your business and life by unifying, simplifying, amplifying technology, nature, and yoga. The name of my YouTube channel is Tech Nature Yoga. My hope is to bring clarity to people who are in the so called West and are looking for some guidance. Even if you are in a different part of the world, you might still find my effort worthwhile because much of today's world is, as it is called, westernized. I feel that it is my responsibility to share my understanding of karma, and I want to craft my destiny myself. Wouldn't you want to do the same? That is why I have started this series of YouTube videos. I want to understand the concept of karma myself properly and share it with as many people as possible. I find it particularly important because of the worldwide situation that we are presently living in. I hope to be useful in some way. My aim here is to facilitate discussion so that we all gain deeper understanding. What do I expect in return? Well, hopefully, whoever is watching will like and subscribe. The easiest way to contact me is through my website, wake-technology.com, where you will find multiple ways to reach me. Now it is time to introduce ourselves. Please note that our audience may come across any episode in this series. Because of that, these introductions need to be repeated in every episode. Now, I have already introduced myself at the very beginning. So it is time for my guests today to introduce themselves. I shall call out each of your names. Please unmute your microphones and introduce yourselves. I would like you to limit yourselves to 1 minute each while answering the questions you see on the screen as far as possible. I would like to spotlight each of you one by one. So I'll now stop the screen share and here we go. Let me start with who shall I start? Nidhi.
Oh, I thought we should start with the new guest today. But, okay, my name is Nidhi, and I do a channel called Science of Spirituality, and I've already launched. So my first video was out, and I thought it did well for being a first video. Yeah, so yeah, that's who I am. I work in the field of IT, and you know, like anyone else, busy with family, work, and also started a YouTube channel. And I enjoy these discussions, so I'm here.
So best way to contact you?
Yeah, you could email me on a yogis word 11 at gmail.com. So no space.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's start with our let's have hear from our new guest today.
Is it me, I guess?
Yes.
Okay. So I fell in love with Sadhguru, and I want to spread his message and his wisdom. And for me, I live now in the Sadhguru world, and I wish my hope is to expand this. So I start my YouTube channel. I can't believe it. So the name is Sadhguru Good Vibes, and you can reach me there or at my email.
Mhm.
That is it.
And you are French?
Yes, I am.
And how do you say your name, please?
My name is Veronica,
Mhm.
actually. Vero.
Namaskaram. Thank you.
Thanks.
Lowell Ann, please.
Oh. Well, greetings. My name is Lowell Ann Fulsang, and I'm on Canada's west coast on Vancouver Island. I came to this group because, well, I'm really inspired by Sadhguru's approach, and because Vivek and I have mutually supported each other for years. Even though we've never met face to face, such as the online world these days. I spent my whole career helping people decide what they should do, first through career counseling and then coaching. Today, I'm enjoying my retirement through study and discovering how to support Canadian Indigenous people as we all move toward reconciliation. You can find my most recent website at arcticcarvings.com.
Okay. So now that we have introduced ourselves, it's time for watch the pre-recorded video. In every episode, I record a video in advance so that I can correct any mistakes, and I present a coherent and continuous video without wasting your time. So that's the whole idea. So and the whole point is I want to cover certain points, and I want to make sure that they are covered. That's why pre-recording allows me to do that. So, Karma, a yogi's guide to crafting your destiny. Let us study chapter 2. Sadhguru gives several sutras. Sutra literally means thread. Each of these sutras hold a pearl or a gem. So we all do well to make note of these. So here is Sutra 2. Let me read it out for you. Ultimately, life is neither suffering nor bliss. It is what you make it. The consequence of calculation. Sadhguru narrates a story that was often related by the great 20th century Indian mystic Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the founder of Ramakrishna Mission, which has branches all over the world now. There is a paradox in the story, so please pay attention. It happened on a certain evening. Two friends were walking together. It was their weekly custom to visit a prostitute every Saturday evening. While they were walking toward the prostitute's house, they heard a voice delivering a discourse on the Bhagavad Gita, India's great sacred text. One friend was seized by guilt. He decided not to visit the prostitute and said he would rather improve himself by attending the lecture on the Gita. The other man left him there and went ahead. Now, the man sitting in the lecture hall found his thoughts were full of his friend who was with the prostitute. He began to envy him. While he was stuck in this lecture room, the other man, he was convinced, was having the time of his life. He couldn't help feeling his friend was far more intelligent in choosing the brothel over a scriptural discourse. Now, the man who had gone to the prostitute's house found his mind was full of his friend at the lecture hall. He was filled with admiration for his friend who had chosen the path to liberation by opting for a spiritual discourse over carnal pleasures. Now, here comes the paradox. It is the man at the Gita discourse who piled up the adverse karma. It is he who suffered. Sri Ramakrishna pointed out much more than the man who visited the prostitute. At this point, the audience would certainly want to know why and how it is possible. Here is the answer from the book. This story points to a common mistake. People often assume karma is only about external action. They think performing acts of charity and virtue will earn them good karma. What they never quite realize is that it is about something much subtler. Because although karma denotes action of body, mind, and energy, it is not about action alone. The man who went to the prostitute did not pile up as much karma as his friend because he did not make a calculation. His friend, on the other hand, secretly wished he was with her, but believed that by going to the discourse he would get one step closer to heaven. The calculation meant an acquisition of more karma. Ironically, the man who thought about how to shed karma actually ended up accumulating it. The reason why religious teachings all over the world are always talking about love is that the moment you become loving, you are naturally at your best in relation to others. The moment you view everyone with love, your intention is automatically inclusive. If you say something prompted by love and another person gets hurt, that is his karma, not yours. But If you say something out of hatred and another person has no problem with it, it is good karma for them, but not for you. You still acquire negative karma. It is the level of bitterness and hatred that causes karma, not the act alone. Now, let us look at seeds of volition. So, what determines human volition? Why do some people operate out of greater sense of inclusiveness and others out of a greater sense of exclusiveness? Look at this closely. You will see that volition is shaped fundamentally by your belief that you are a separate being, an individual. In other words, it is your identification with your individuality that determines your volition. The operative word here is identification. If you were not identified with this sense of separateness, you would not be accumulating karma. If your identification were all inclusive, that would be the end of the karmic cycle. How can one disidentify with desire? How can there be desire without individuality? Intention without identity? The logic is simple. Individuality is a myth. It is an idea, not an existential reality. We have fragmented our world out of ignorance. Once you are in touch with the foundation of intelligence that underlies all of creation, you realize that you are not separate from anyone or anything else. You are inseparably linked to the rest of this universe. Your body already knows that it is part of a greater molecular dance of the cosmos. It knows that it will not survive for a moment without transacting with the air, water, sunlight, and earth. Your mind, however, believes otherwise. It is convinced it is a limited entity. Therefore, any volition based on this limited understanding goes against the fundamental design of the source of creation. Any action that is impelled by such short-sighted and narrow volition invariably means karma, or in other words, more compulsive existence. At this point in the book, Sadhguru narrates a story of Shankaran Pillai and his donkey that gets painted red. But I am not going to narrate that story today because I want you to buy the book and read it. The links to buy the book in print form, ebook form, or audio form will be in the description of this YouTube video. At this point in the video, let me take the opportunity to request you to like this video. Please subscribe to my channel at Tech Nature Yoga and hit the bell icon so that you can customize the notifications you get when I upload a new video. There is yet another unfortunate misunderstanding around karma and volition. Since the endless oscillation between like and dislike creates karma, philosophies of avoidance and detachment have begun to grow popular. Even Gautama, the Buddha's teaching of desirelessness have been misinterpreted. All these philosophies and misinterpretations spring from a single impulse to avoid karma. The irony is that the more you try to avoid karma, the more it multiplies. All the life-denying philosophies of detachment have developed because of the human fear of entanglement. What these philosophies overlook is that without an all-consuming passionate involvement, there would be no life. What these philosophies end up denying altogether is life itself. Why didn't the universe create everyone equal? Why are some disabled and others able-bodied? Why are some poor and others rich? If there is God, why didn't He create everyone equal? Why couldn't everyone carry positive karma? Why couldn't everyone have the same software? What is the point of all this terrible inequality? These are questions that have plagued human beings since the dawn of time. Now, pause and examine this with absolute clarity. If you do, you will see that the primary cause of human suffering is not physical handicap or poverty. The cause of human suffering is oneself. At this point in the book, Sadhguru explains the difference between pain and suffering. In short, pain is physical and is body's way of alerting you that something is wrong. Suffering, on the other hand, is psychological. It is produced by you. Sadhguru explains the concept of Kula Vedana. He says there is something called Kula Vedana. This refers to the suffering of a collective, the suffering of a family, a clan, or a community. It means the suffering within you comes not just from your individual past, it comes from your forefathers and will be transmitted to your unborn children. So, how you live is not just about you. Whether previous generations are liberated from their karma and whether future generations do not suffer also depends on how you exist. The kind of grace you are fortunate enough to receive in your lifetime can also affect the lives of those before and after you. So what about fate, destiny, kismat? Do these play a role in determining our lives? Are the words relevant at all to our understanding of karma? It is time to demolish some myths right away. What you call fate is just a life situation you have created for yourself unconsciously. Your destiny is what you have crafted in unawareness. If you become 100% conscious, your destiny becomes a conscious creation. If you remain unconscious, you fall back on words like fate and providence to describe your predicament. It is as simple as that. Sadhguru goes on to say, if you are on a spiritual path, authentic astrologers will never make predictions for you. He gives example of seafaring ships in the old days, which depended so much on winds against the present ones that are propelled by engines. Hence, being spiritual means you are committed to charting your own destiny. When you are on such a path, what you are essentially saying to the world is, I am not wind blown. I am self-propelled. This is a sadhana, a tool or device that Sadhguru provides in the book. Let me read it out for you. If you want to be self-propelled, it is important to start by fixing your intention. Make your intention as all-encompassing as you can. Start with a simple resolve. Decide to be a mother to the world. That means seeing everyone as your own. There is no one who is not part of your clan. When you walk down the street, are you capable of looking upon everyone with the same sweetness of emotion that arises within you when you see your child coming home from school? This intention alone could liberate you from much agitation and negativity, and could have a tremendous impact on how you craft your destiny. If you are conscious every moment that everything and everyone on this planet is yours, you do not need any laws to tell you what you shall or shall not do. You have changed your fundamental identity. Your karmic boundaries now fall away, and you experience a sense of boundlessness. A new identity of inclusiveness and involvement is born. I thank the viewers who have been watching. Since you have been watching so far, it means you are getting some value out of this video. So, let me take this opportunity to request you to like this video. Please subscribe to my channel at Tech Nature Yoga and hit the bell icon so that you can customize the notifications you get when I upload a new video. The book is available in multiple formats and multiple languages: English, Hindi, German, French, Spanish, Italian, even Russian. It is also available in multiple formats such as paperback or hardback or electronic books such as Kindle, or even audio files such as Audible. You would find the links to these in the description of this video on YouTube. Okay, we have been watching the pre-recorded video so far. It's time for discussion now. So let me bring up the. So in the presentation, here are the main topics that were they were covered. I mean, these are the headlines from the book, different sections of the chapter 2. So I want us to discuss these. Yeah, anybody who wants to start the discussion? Come on.
Well,
I've been talking so long. Yeah.
as long as we don't need to do them in order.
Yeah.
So what really jumped out for me, and I've read the chapter, etc. But what really jumped out for me while listening to you this morning was how much of what's going on in the world right now, today, depends on this whole concept of your clan.
Mm.
You know, I guess the struggle that I have in my mind as a result of that observation is the world is a very large place that is very clan based.
Mm.
And what can we do as individuals to impact how other people act and how other people feel?
Mm.
It's I know that my role for myself is to decide on what my intentions are in the world and in my life, etc. But it still does worry me as to this whole concept of clan-based thinking.
Mm. Yeah. Clan-based thinking is, I mean, it's some of it is. I would say Sadhguru does talk about this kula vedana, which is the weight of collective karma. And some people have that, they feel that they have been suffering for a long time and so on and so forth. And they feel that someone else is responsible for that, which is the problem actually. For suffering, for the pain, okay, maybe someone else is responsible, but for suffering, the book says it is your responsibility. You are suffering because you are creating the suffering. Not pain may be created by someone else. Someone might create physical pain for you, put you in a very dangerous situation physically, but still suffering we create ourselves. And sometimes, sadly, when we create that suffering ourselves and we feel that someone else is actually responsible, okay, we must punish that person. Or yeah, that's where all these conflicts come in. That's what I think. Yeah, Nidhi Akka, go on.
So for there's something called family karma, which is probably what Kul Vedana is. And I heard what Sadhguru has said, but there's also this concept in astrology, actually. If you listen to some of the astrologers who, talk about things, and again, people say that astrology is not real, but I've seen it working for me. I mean, not the sun sign the kind of astrology, but our Vedic astrology, where actually people have horoscopes, and so I've seen people predict things quite well for me. I mean, it seemed like they were good astrologers. And so what I have, and then I got interested in that, and I started learning myself. I can't do anything, but I started listening to astrologers as well as Sadhguru. And there's a concept of this family karma. So this astrologer was talking about that this girl was born in a family, and when the girl was born, it was in her horoscope that she will not have a father. So as soon as she was born, the father died for whatever reason. The father died, and so the people in that family started saying that this girl is, what do you call it? She's bad luck. She's
Mm.
bad luck, right? So she killed her father. She didn't kill her. She didn't kill him, but that's what this. She's by being present, she killed the father. And so, is that true? Was she the bad luck for the family? And then this astrologer goes on to explain that's not how it works. The father had to die. It was his karma, his destiny, his horoscope, everything was aligned, and he had to die at that point. And this girl was not supposed to have a father. So her father had to die. That is why that girl was born in that family.
Oh,
The girl, so the
okay.
girl is not, so that's how the family karma works.
Mm.
So, so people with similar karma actually are in the same family.
Mm. So,
So,
but then Sadhguru also in that last section, the destiny debate and the astrology argument, it is called the section. He says that if you are a spiritual seeker,
you
if
should
you
not be
are
born.
on a spiritual path, then the astrologer will, if he notices that, if he feels in some way, I mean, through his powers or whatever, I don't know. I'm I'm not finding the right words there,
No,
but
I know what you're saying. You're saying that if you're on a spiritual path, then horoscope will not, you don't need to see horoscope because it will not be working for you. It
yeah,
will, you will
because
not,
you are
not be,
you are
you are
self
the ruler of
driven,
the destiny.
self propelled, so
So
rather than wind blown.
for
That's
that,
where.
I'm conscious of the time, but for that, so there's this lady called Brahma Kumari. You might,
Mhm.
she's also a spiritual leader, and she says the same thing, that look, when you are born, your horoscope at that is made at the time of your birth, right?
Mhm.
It's the time of your birth and the time of your place where you're born,
Mm. Mm.
place and time. So that's the imprint that you were born with. So basically, you had a past life. If that's how Indian thing works. You had a past life. So in past life, the accounting closed with a certain karma. So your karma had negative karma, positive. There was a certain accounting. At the end, the close of account was this. Now you open your account with that.
Mm.
But as you live, you could live just according to your horoscope, because the horoscope has it's, or the horoscope, you could live where you could start diverting. If you're on a spiritual path, you kind of live very consciously, and so your horoscope says you will become an angry person, you will shout at this time, you will do this, but you have become a spiritual person and you don't shout, you don't just, so these situations stop coming into your life and you completely diverge from it. But still your horoscope is still pointing in the direction where, because from what it thought from the original, right?
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
how. That is
Mm.
my understanding again. It is my
Mm.
understanding. I have looked into these things quite a lot just because of it.
What do you think, Veronica?
For me, astrologers are reading the energy of the vibes, of the universe. And then, okay, our karma is what we are making. But
Mm.
in the example of the little girl is bad luck,
Mm.
is not from her making, but her family or then becomes hers. I don't know if so for me, karma is what we are making, but there is some external something,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not entirely
ours.
our making, but
Yeah.
there is some effect. But the point is, once you are conscious of that, and once you become conscious, then the past one, you can be free of that. That's what Sadhguru says in many of his lectures. And um, yes, the from the past life, I think it is called as, if I am not mistaken, prarabdha karma, which is from your past life. But yeah, what about this? Avoidance accelerates karmic accumulation. What do you think of that? You try to avoid karma, but when you try to avoid accumulating, you ironically, he says, if you try to do that, you accumulate more karma. So, what do you think of that?
For me, I
Again,
think it's true. Sorry.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
you go ahead.
Oh,
Varun.
no, sorry.
So I was just saying that what I have read, what I have heard Sadhguru talk about is once he was saying similar things. So if I want to avoid karma, should I become a couch potato and do nothing? And then I don't have any karma. But then he said, actually, if you do nothing, if you just sit at one place and become a couch potato, you accumulate a lot of karma,
Mm,
much more karma than what you would accumulate but when you were doing a lot of things. It's
mm,
because you have to explain it to yourself. I don't need to do that. I don't need to help that person. I don't need to do anything for this person. I don't need to do anything for myself, because you will then have all these calculations going on in your head and that generates immense amount of karma. And actually, if you are joyfully just doing whatever is needed, then
mm,
you actually don't generate that much karma.
mm.
Just saying what I remember from Sadhguru's talk.
Yes, yes.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that was running through my mind. What about the concept of chance? So I was thinking about, maybe something happened to somebody because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that whatever happened was not part of their action. It just happened to them.
Mm,
And so there was something happened to them through no fault of their own.
mm,
So, but then I began to think, well, when something happens to me or you or whatever, even if it's through no fault of our own, whether we choose to suffer about it,
mm,
that is part of our own power, and that's
mm,
how we can. So the choice is how we respond to something, not whether what happened. So, so I guess from the coaching world that I come from, it's about your mindset and what choices you make about what you believe and what you don't believe, etc. So yeah, so it's the more I think about all this, I mean, that one word that Sadhguru uses is intention. What is my intention? I think is a really, really, really critical thing for us individually to be very much aware of. Yeah.
Yeah, when you said bad things happening and so on, you actually and it depends on how you take it. You reminded me, Lowell, and you reminded me of Roland. Others don't know about Roland. He was one of our friends, like this online friend. He was paralyzed.
Just on one side.
One side, he was completely paralyzed, but still he was online, and he was the most positive person I really met, in spite of being and it was after so much of interaction with him that I realized that he was actually paralyzed on one side.
Most of us didn't know it.
Most of us did not even notice or find out that he is paralyzed on one side. He was doing all things that we normal people do, with all our abilities, all hands, everything working. He was and positive.
He was creating websites and running groups like this and doing all kinds of things, and it took us a few years before we ever knew that he was paralyzed. Yeah.
So
just amazing, an amazing guy.
Yeah.
He was paralyzed because of he'd had 3 strokes. And what took him out eventually was the 4th stroke.
So it's as you said, how you take it and how you
what you do with it.
Yeah, how you respond to it. So yeah.
But can I go back to something? I mean, this whole community, family, whatever. I promised a couple of sessions ago I should explain what all my relations means. Because Vivek and I, when we are greeting each other, or usually saying goodbye, it was namaste to all my relations. So you heard me say in my introduction that I am studying and working to understand the Indigenous approach here in Canada. And the Indigenous people, they think that generational history is really, really important. And they work very hard to maintain that history verbally, not so much in writing. But their reason for doing that is to not lose touch with who you are and your connections to your family, who you are in terms of your family. But what is even more important to them is your connection to the land and the planet. And so the greeting, all my relations, is a recognition and a reminder that we are all connected. We are all one. We are all one with people, but we are all one with the planet the plants and the trees and the sea and everything. So that's what all my relations means. It's a reminder that we are all one, and it's something that I love about the way that the Indigenous people in Canada, most of them think from that kind of a perspective. And I find it just amazing that Sadhguru is suggesting the same thing, only just using different words.
Mm.
I love that, and I love the fact that if you look at many countries and many people, the indigenous way of looking at things is pretty much the same. It's all this clan stuff and country stuff and religion stuff that is creating the problems. Anyway, so it's I think it's important for us to try to remember that we are all one, just as he said. Decide that you are the mother of everybody you see. Yeah, which is just a different way of saying the same thing. I think that's and it amazes me that the indigenous people in North America had that way of looking at things, but I have a sense that the indigenous people of India also had that approach as well. They just use different language to describe it. So it's fascinating. I'll shut up now.
I know Veronica should speak, but I'll just quickly say that if two unrelated people are saying the same thing, it has to be true.
Yeah.
But they are related.
Veronica?
Well, I just saw that is the modern world issue, and we need to reconnect, connect again as indigenous. Sorry, to our roots, to land, to earth, to everything, every life.
Mm.
And it's not trendy, so I have a lot of work, if I want to. Well, we are going on this trend, hopefully, to reconnect.
Okay. We did cover Kula Vedana, the destiny debate. Also covered avoidance.
Why do some people, we talked about that before, didn't we? Why do some people suffer more than others? Yeah.
And the consequence of calculation, I suppose that one is more to do with the intention and your
I think that's why intelligent people actually suffer more than more simpler people, because they calculate too much. And that's what I think.
Yeah, and they are intelligent people are more efficient at manufacturing more suffering.
Exactly. Yes.
Very efficiently manufacture.
People are more stupid, isn't it?
Okay, it's 6 o'clock here. It is time for us to wrap up for today. Yeah, next week we shall discuss the third chapter, which is karma as memory. So we shall discuss that next week. I hope all of you and hopefully more people will join us. So until next Tuesday, namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram to all my relations.
To all my relations.